All right. Hey, everyone. Ready to dive in?
Always up for a deep dive.
Today, we're tackling addiction, but not the way you might think.
Color me intrigued.
We're going deep on how your environment shapes your vulnerability, even way back to childhood.
Now that's an angle you don't hear every day. I like it.
Right. It's not just about willpower, which we hear so much, but all these external factors.
It's that old nature versus nurture debate. And with addiction, it's a bit of both, isn't it?
Totally. So let's start with those early years. Did you know that growing up in poverty or experiencing some kind of trauma can actually change how your brain develops?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of research to back that up. When kids face constant stress, their brains adapt, but not always in a good way.
Like how so? What's actually happening up there?
Well, the areas of the brain that deal with impulse control and reward get wired a little differently. Think of it like they're primed to seek out those quick hits of pleasure and have a harder time resisting.
And that makes them more susceptible to addiction later.
Exactly. It's not a guaranteed outcome, but it's like stacking the deck against them, Makes it tougher to resist.
So childhood environment sets the stage. Then fast forward to the present, and you've got your social circles. Peer pressure. Is that as big of a deal as they say?
It's less about overt pressure and more about what becomes normal in your world.
Meaning, if everyone around you is using...
Exactly. It becomes harder to resist even if you know better. It's like this constant erosion of your defenses. It's way more subtle and insidious than people realize.
And then pile on the easy access to substances. It's got to be tough to resist temptation when it's staring you in the face 24/7.
No doubt about it. Accessibility is a huge factor. Think about it. The easier something is to get, the more likely you are to use it, whether it's a harmless habit or something more risky. That's why we see higher rates of addiction in areas where drugs are readily available.
Okay, and we can't forget about stress. Everyone experiences stress. But how does that everyday stress transform into a potential addiction?
It's about coping mechanisms, or lack thereof. When you're stressed, your brain is looking for relief, any kind of relief.
And addictive substances provide that escape, however temporary it may be.
Right. And the more you rely on that substance to numb the stress, the more likely you are to become dependent on it. It's a vicious cycle.
So it sounds like we're talking about this complex web of factors where your childhood experiences, your social environment, and even your stress levels all intertwine to influence your risk of addiction.
Absolutely. It's rarely just one thing. It's the interplay of all these factors that determines how vulnerable someone might be.
It's pretty eye-opening, actually. It makes you realize that addiction is far more complex than simply a matter of personal choice. It's about understanding the interplay of these powerful forces.
I think about those positive influences too. A supportive family, close friends who have your back, those can be incredibly protective.
Like a buffer against those risk factors.
Exactly. Makes you wonder, if we could somehow strengthen those support systems, could we potentially rewrite someone's risk entirely? Something to ponder, wouldn't you say?
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for diving into this with us. It's been enlightening, to say the least. Until next time.
Always a pleasure.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for more.